Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And I have a dear friend in the house today coming to you from Pensacola, Florida, where there's lots of sunshine. And so I'm going to tell everybody what we're talking about today. And then I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself, Michelle. So our topic, it's a long title, guys. We maxed out, I actually maxed out the longest title you could have in. So recalculating the book writing journey, power and payoff of when to publish. So this is a brilliant topic, and we're just going to get stuck in. So before we do, though, Michelle, please tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you again for having me on this show. It's wonderful to be here. I'm Michelle B. Griffin. The B stands for brand, and I'm coming into you live from Pensacola, Florida, where sadly it's not sunny today. It's pouring down rainy, but all the other days we're sunny and cheery. But today we're talking about something that's dear and near to my heart because what I do as a speaker and author is personal branding. I empower professionals, especially women in business, to put themselves out there, get visible, and really own their lane for their next level opportunities. And we're talking about those three words today: own your lane, my process, the book, and what does it mean to be delayed in the entire book writing process?
Awesome. Awesome. So if we look behind Michelle on her bookshelf there, you actually see 3 books. And today we were supposed to be just talking about 2 books, the book that she wrote before and the book that was going to be published today. But man plans, God laughs. That's always my expression, that it's like just when you think you're going to be going here, an obstacle comes in the road and you have to navigate it around, and hence the title Recalculating. And hence, through all of this, a new book was born. And that's what's exciting. And what I told Michelle prior to the show today is I said, sometimes we head to a deadline and we just want to get something done. And we really should just be focused on that or something better. And something better happened along this journey. So, Michelle, do you want to kind of, I'll stop talking. You tell people kind of what happened, because we were supposed to be doing Own Your Lane today,
No,
and we have a change of plans.
it's okay. It's not delayed. It's not a dead tour. It's just a slight delay, not a detour or dead end, is what I like to say. But yeah, earlier this year, February 1st to be exact, I announced that I was going to write a book on my process, which back then was a 7-step process. And I said, own your lane. In fact, earlier, January 1st this year, I even bought the domain. So it was my year vision. And guess what? I love to write, create, speak, and all that, but I am sometimes really bad about managing myself. I've never written a solo book. The book before me 2 years ago was with Michelle J. Raymond. As you know, she's been on the show recently. And I knew I had to give myself a deadline and a vision. And I just threw out this fall, October 15th was actually the first one. I don't know if you remember that. And then I'm like, no, I need another time. I need more months. So then I put it November 19th. And then guess what happened? The whole process, it just kept getting different. And I opened up and I realized so much. In fact, we can link to this too. I was on your show 6 months ago. We were talking about entirely different, the same book, but an entirely different premise. Do you remember that? We were
Yeah.
talking about Amy and Claire, my coaching clients, and I was coaching them on the 7 steps. And I was just so thrilled with that version. But then I kept going, and my intuition kept saying, that's not it. That's not it. And I just kept getting that inner nudge, and we have to listen to that inner nudge. So, long story short, over the summer, I boiled it down to 7 steps, LANE, and everything's for my 7 steps. It's just more condensed. I realized I needed a simplified but strategic process to really help people, realize what personal branding is in this scope. And as I got closer, Gillian, I realized I wasn't going to make my deadline. And can I tell you, I almost died inside. There were several weeks I was just felt like I had a ton of weights inside. It was just killing me because I'm not someone who likes to, even though it was my deadline, let people down or miss a deadline. So I had to really work through that. But guess what happened? I came to you and I'm like, I have an idea, Gillian, because here's the thing. I hired Gillian to be my book coach as well to help me through. I've also hired Chris Stanley, shout out to him, who helped me, mini bookise it. Hired Devin too to help me with the thing. But I said, I think I need something else. And my idea is, because I'm not going to get it out, I actually think I need the planner, the prequel, if you will, because when I used to work with clients one-on-one, we do all these assessments. So that's what happened. A new book popped up, and the old one, or the original one, it's still coming. So we just have a little bit of both now. So I'm excited about that silver lining destination.
I love that. I love that. And I remember when we first were talking about this, and I said it makes sense to have the prequel first. I said, please don't do the Star Wars thing, where it's like
Yes.
we start with episode 3, but then we go back to episode 1, and we're all over the place. I said that makes my head hurt. So it actually made sense because, in essence, Michelle, you took one step backward, but now you're going 10 steps forward. So it's like really makes sense that you're doing this. And I love the prequel. Is the planner is amazing. It's going to be so helpful. And you really wouldn't want to just have the own your lane book until you have the work of the planner to prepare you for it. So it so makes sense. So do you want to tell people what the planner is about?
Yes, it's called position yourself because I'm a firm believer we really need to get everything and position ourselves before we start building our brand. And so while the Own Your Lane book teaches you my short, simple, yet strategic lane framework, this will help you self-reflect and assess where you really are. Just like our GPS, I call it the visibility GPS on the cover. Just like our GPS, we get in our car, we're like, I want to go somewhere, and it'll say when you're driving, current location. This is the same thing. I want you to really, especially at the end of the year, it's actually perfect timing. Where am I now? And it asks you all the questions to really reflect, put it in there. And so you have all the coordinates and to where you want to go, because Own Your Lane, we all need to get out there for our next level, right? We all need to be visible, build, position ourselves, get, branded, and even have, publicity elements we add. That's part of Own Your Lane. But it assesses your current situation, your current location, and gives you all the answers. So you're like, wow, I have all this. This is exactly where I need so I can get to that next level. And that's what Own Your Lane teaches. So it's a GPS, really. It's the same thing, and it's super easy. And here's the thing. So once you go through it, I have even developed a lane navigator scorecard. So once you go through the 4 steps, you get to take this either print, because you're the one who told me have a print version, or digital, and you can now kind of rank yourself. Okay, well, here's the 4 levels of where you are. So when you jump into Own Your Lane, you have a really good idea of where you are and where you want to go.
I love it. I love it. And that's so good because, the online people will like the online version. The people that are in print, well, I could be sitting on a cruise or I could be sitting on a beach. I can take it right then and there. So that's why I was championing, please don't leave us print people out. We like this. But it so makes sense. And I love self-assessment tools because because sometimes we don't know where we are. Sometimes it's hard to reflect. And so if we can have that assessment, then we can, and you stepped it out so nicely that it's like, wow, now I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's like we kind of go, well, what kind of car am I sitting in? If I'm going to own the lane, I got to figure out what car I'm in, or, what I'm heading to. So many driving analogies and all of this. It's just amazing.
Sorry in advance. It's just kind of fun, and it helps you stick with it. And also too, it really gives you that clarity that you need, so you're not scared to get out there. My backstory, and I really talk about it more in Own Your Lane, is I got stuck for 5 years wanting to get to my next level, even on LinkedIn, for 9 months before I started posting. I knew what it's like to be a little bit, have uncertainty to get out there. And this gives you all the working ingredients you need. I even have some assessments on where your LinkedIn profile is, because I consider your LinkedIn profile your personal brand website during this whole process. So we ask that too. So it's a little bit of everything. I boiled it down from when I did one-on-one work with my clients, all the assessments I had, it's been boiled down. That's what took so long, Gillian. I took this huge body of knowledge, and it's now, the reason why it took so long is because it's now a product. We've heard of intellectual property. I call it intellectual product. And taking this huge 7-step framework that I developed 5 years ago, realizing it needs more simplicity and everything for today's even crowded fields and everything. And it's a really simple, we talked about this. I think we realized it's not Mark Twain who said this, but if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter, right? That's the same thing about this book. I needed the time to make it shorter and really simple. So that's why I'm really proud of where it is now. And the delay is just a delay. It's not a final thing.
I love it. I love it. And, it's kind of, again, getting back in the car and, getting that GPS. And it's like, sometimes I've driven in the car when all of a sudden things are crazy and you got a snowstorm. And like we were once in Colorado and we were driving in a snowstorm in the middle of the night. We were not going to get to Kansas City on time. We knew we had to just pull
Yes.
over, wait for the storm to blow so that we could keep going. So, it makes so much sense. But here's the thing, Michelle. I really like that you're thinking about your reader first, because I think as an author, that's more important, because we sit there and say, okay, I want to meet my goals and I want to, tick off my goals. And that's wonderful. And we all should follow through on our goals. That makes us great. But the thing is what's the end product? Because you did say product. What's
Yes.
the end product for the reader, for our audience? And essentially, by making your process as simple and easy peasy, if I'll use that
Mhm.
word, making it as easy peasy as possible, then somebody can read this and not say, well, now I got to book 6 coaching sessions because I don't
Nope.
know what to do with this. You're making it so that no, you can read this and you can do this on your own. And that's great.
Well, there's we're not talking about Own Your Lane specifically right now, but there is a one-page roadmap. So not only when you go through the planner, you get all the stuff, right? You get all your assessments and where I am, then you read Own Your Lane and I walk you through the one-page roadmap. I believe that we plan for everything. We plan for school, career, finance, retirement. We need a visibility plan in today's
Mm,
day and age. And so when you read Own Your Lane, it's me again just guiding you through. And then so when you end the book, you're going to have a one-page visibility plan that of course you can update and change and stuff, but you're like, wow, this is my roadmap. This is exactly where I need to go for what I want to do. It's not a cookie cutter. Yes, there are some guidelines, but everyone's different. So I made it super simple. So you take this one page and you're like, I'm at it. I'm ready to go. Let's
mm,
go. So
mm.
I'm a believer that we don't do anything unless we have a plan that's simple. I don't have to think about it. And I've shown you all the examples and people who've done the same thing. So it's going to be very encouraging and actionable at the same time.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I love that it's little, because it's like it kind of looks like a little pocketbook. And we
Yes.
recently had Volta on, and she was talking about her pocket guide for art. And pocket guides, a smaller book is easier to consume. It's almost like the appetizer before the big meal. So,
Yeah. Well, think of it as a travel guide. Do you remember back in the day? In fact, I pulled
yes.
out of a thing from years ago at my mom's house, this Reader's Digest travel guide. It was this cute little pocket thing. I'm like, that's kind of what Own Your Lane is, but for your personal branding, your visibility. And we don't need, and trust me, I'm someone who wants to learn, but I don't want to be bogged down. That's why I was so thankful,
Mm,
when I hired Chris to really help me put some containers around the mini book aspect of it. And because this is now a product, I am taking from your lead too. It is now the Own Your Lane book series. So I will have, position yourself planner, Own Your Lane, and then there will be like multiple books, maybe even a book on each section, maybe a book. I have a whole list actually of like how to write the perfect expert bio, how to pitch, what's the perfect pitch for, getting on a podcast. So just really even smaller mini books. So you can just say, here's my one little problem and here's how to solve it. And off you go, as they say in Australia, and Michelle says. So, well, I love that. I love that term. Off you go. It really applies here too. So,
I love that. And it's good because it's kind of like when you go to a buffet, you have it all laid out and you can
yes.
decide, I want to read this, I want to read this. And I know even with my own series, it's like I didn't even put in a numerical order because I thought, okay, well, so far I've only done one book anyways, but I just really wanted to say there should be no order. It's like somebody might want to come in and say, I just want to read this book because this
Yep.
is what applies to me in the moment. Whereas other people might say, give me the bundle. I want the whole set. So I think it's really great when you build that in and having the foresight of having the whole series in your head, at least the beginning few is brilliant because it's kind of hard to go back and do that after the fact. So
Yes.
again, so many blessings came
Yes.
out of this because now you're moving forward with, like I said, one step back, but 10 steps forward,
Absolutely.
just amazing. So that's good. So shall we go check in with our friends
Yes.
and see who's
Absolutely.
joining us today? And I do have a couple questions, so I want to remember to come back. So we have the lovely Jeff Young, he's a greetings. He's your fanboy in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you
Hi,
for
Jeff.
joining us today. Yay, yay. I love Jeff. He always comes to our lives and it's great. Lane.
Yes.
See, he always comes up with his own acronyms. I love it. Lane, launch, assert, navigate, elevate. Nice acronym. Michelle, check out Michelle's about
Yes.
section for the full version. Isn't he nice? He's just like,
You
he's
see
so
how simple
good.
it is? Thank you, Jeff. It's so good to see you. And I made it, but the old version used to be 7 Ps, and there was me on a lot of podcasts over the years going the 7 Ps. And look, we need a quick takeaway message. What is the takeaway message or acronym so people can remember it? I really want it to be a transferable message. So I love that you included that. Thank you, Jeff.
Yay, yay, I love that. Speaking of Australia, we got Roy up in the
Hey.
middle of the night, coming in from Sydney, Australia, who, bless his heart, is
Yes.
up at 4 o'clock in the
Hi, Roy. It's
morning.
good to see you. Thank you for being here. God,
We
it's probably like what, 4 in the morning or
It
something there?
it is, and so bless his heart, he said he was coming, so that's wonderful. David is here. Hello,
Hi,
ladies.
Dave.
Thank you for being here today. We have Daniel coming in. Thank you
Hi,
for this
Daniel.
opportunity. I love how people just come from everywhere and anywhere here to support, so this is wonderful. Phil is here. So good to be here, so thank you,
Hey,
Phil Davis,
Phil.
for popping in. We have Jeff again. Roy, 5 a.m. You're a real trooper. I
He
believe it's actually
is.
4. I think it's not 5. I think it's
I think
4.
time changed there recently, but yes,
Oh, it
thank
could be. It
you.
could it
Yes,
could be. It could be, but
yes.
that's amazing. Acronym title. So maybe he's asking why an acronym title? Because it actually is memorable. But how did you actually come up with your titles? That's a really good thing to talk about, Michelle.
Yeah, own your lane is just something, in the last year, I remember talking to a friend of mine. We were on an hour and a half talk. I do a lot of talk and walk and talks with friends. And I'm like, this is just about really helping you own your lane. This is over the holidays last year. I'm like, oh, that's really good. So I ran after I walked to get the thing. So I'm like, own your lane. But lane is easy to remember now because I really know the power of a takeaway message, short, sweet, and lane is so much easier and it goes with the book too. So I really wanted it to match. And then position yourself. Fun fact: in March of 2023, I diagrammed this entire book proposal for position yourself. Okay.
Mm.
And I got the inner nudge, talking about the inner nudge. It wasn't ready. No, it wasn't ready. And I go back to that and I love the title, but it was on the 7 steps and I was too generic and broad. And that's what I really teach people. Like number A is, or step A is assert your difference. How do you position yourself so you're different? Your unique edge factor is what I teach in the book and how to claim that. So anyway, so it all makes sense. It's all meant to be the perfect timing. And, going and waiting, I have a better product and I'm really here to help people. This is
Mm.
why, like you said, I am doing this for the reader because I don't want anyone to be hidden, held back, feeling uncertain on the sidelines. This is truly your way out there if you're ready to get out there, share your wisdom, expertise, and message to impact the world, or just at the very least, that one person. That's all it takes.
I love that. I love that. We have the lovely Miss G popping in today. So
Hello.
she says, "Yay, Michelle B. Griffin is a rock star. Grateful
Oh,
for her inspiration and love watching her journey. Pun partially intended. Hee hee." So
she's so funny.
she's so funny, so funny. And it's, you inspired her. And what's so interesting, if I'm not talking tales, but I know that G was a part of your book cohort.
Yes.
And you were helping all these people with mini books. And I remember that you had said, I think it was on the last live when you were here with me, that it's like you began to get ideas for changing your book during that cohort,
Yes.
because as you were teaching others, it's like, maybe I should be applying these principles myself, because all of a sudden you were seeing how it made so much sense to not have these big tomes of, these big Bibles of books that are like 800 pages, no one will ever finish.
It was very eye-opening helping, in that cohort, which we're running again early next year. But I realized we were teaching the mini book model. And because I read that book a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and it changed everything for me. And it made me realize if you're writing a book on your process, write a business book for where you want to go, not where you kind of are. I realized that I had a bigger calling to get out there and speak and write more and not so much one-on-one. So when I was on the show 6 months ago, it was like coaching. Remember, I had characters, Amy and Claire, totally different book. This book has had a lot of rewrites. So just write what you know to be true. So we're all different, but you just got to listen to that inner voice as well.
I love that. I love that. And G says, Lane is genius. I'm so psyched for her book. It will serve
Thank
so
you.
many who need it. And, and I think that's the main thing is that, that there's people who need it and are waiting for it. And so you are going to get that out there now so that they have it, as opposed to if you had just waited and pushed everything off to, well,
Yes.
it's all going to come out in like, spring 2025.
Sunday's not a day. I got to follow my own advice. I tell people, right? And it's getting out of your comfort zone. And it's also, I will be honest that sometimes we have to balance getting a really good product out there, but not being too much of a perfectionist. Because everybody writes a book. I don't care who you are. We have that feeling. Is it good enough? Will people like it? And then at some point you really need someone to nudge you. Yes, get it out there. It's ready.
It's like they need to just take your pen and paper away and
Yes.
say, okay,
Rip
you're
it up.
done. You're done. We're
Yes.
moving on now. We're moving
Get
because
out there.
you can just keep going and going and going. And you're just like, okay, now I'm perfect. Now I'm rewriting the rewrites. Like you can get a little bit bonkers.
And then
about
I
it.
became my own person I'm writing for. I'm like, oh, I'm scared, whatever. So it happens to all of us. We're only human. So I'm totally transparent about this whole journey. And hopefully people can, learn from it to not second guess themselves as much, but it's not
Absolutely.
second guessing. It's just for this case, it became a better product and a second product.
I love it. I love it. And so G says, Chris Stanley and cheers to his mini book model. So yes, very good. Very pertinent. So David says, in order, move forward. I love that.
Love that.
I
You were
love
so
that.
quippy today. Very
I love that. I love that. Oh, we have Lana here. Good day to you, Gillian and Michelle B. Griffin. So it's so lovely to see her here today. I haven't seen her in a long time. So
Yeah.
yay, we're so glad.
Thanks
You
for
said you were
being here.
coming. You said you were coming. So we love that. We love that. So G says, this framework is so genius. She's like your biggest fan, I swear.
Thank you, G. That means so much. She's, I've shared with her. She's seen the journey in the last, 9 months and all. But yeah, Lane is hopefully sticky. You get it. It's easy to teach. It's easy to remember, and it means something. And they all stair step with one another as well.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. And David says checklist clarity. So yes. And you actually have clarity checkpoints.
And the planner, in the position yourself planner, you have the clarity checkpoints. So you're going to kind of get the little overview, and then we go to the clarity checkpoints, just like, on the road, the checkpoints. And then you get some assessment questions, and you get to find out about yourself. And then I have a whole resource page and a whole portal where you can get some tools and tips and tech to help you along your journey as well. So I like to have some, element of surprise in there. So when I say resources page, it's going to keep getting little sprinkles in there. It's not going to be a one and done, because I'm a firm believer everything you do with your brand should be a wonderful impression, and every little touch point has an opportunity to do that. So look for the portal to have some of that as well.
I love that. I love that. And he also says, fantastic point. Someone will read this, and read and need. That's the balance.
Oh, I love
It's
that.
like
Yes.
read and need, that there's people out there going, I need this. I need this, and I can tell you so much. Like when I started, Michelle, it was like, I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't understand brand and positioning. And it was like, these were like, ugh, I had no idea, but I felt stupid telling people I didn't understand what these words meant, because it was like, it felt like everybody else knew it. And it was just like, where did I miss the dictionary? Like,
well,
I didn't
you're
know
the one,
it.
you were set. Thank you for that, because you're so close to it when you write your book. So on the second pass of the planner, I kind of, made things a little bit more simple because we're so close to it. But then you're like, Michelle, you should do a glossary. And I'm like, yes, that's a great idea. So there is no judgment if you don't understand something or whatever. We have a glossary. So I want people to really learn, because this is not written. We have to write our books for someone. This is not written for the expert brand strategist. This is written for the hidden expert who is so ready to get out there, has everything they need. They just need to put it in together, get some really clarity in where they want to go and their difference, build that brand foundation. And then I even talk about elements of publicity. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, on how you can start doing that. So yeah, it's a beautiful process to get you really visible and impact driven as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Marcia says, "Hi, book queens."
Hey,
Jillian,
Marcia.
Jillian, and Michelle. Yay, that's lovely. That's lovely. And G says, as Michelle always says, it is so true. A book doesn't need to be War and
Yes.
Peace. Yes, it's like
No one
unless
wants
you
that.
want to, like, I don't know, like kill mice. It's like there's really no need, or robbers that come in the house. You don't need these gigantic books. We can't consume them. I've known so many people that have done that and made that mistake of like, okay, this is my book I've been working on for 15 years. And then they get it out there and people are like, I don't have time to read this book. But if you give them lots and lots of little books, then they're going to read what they need when they need
We
it.
don't need more information. We need, I'm going to add connection. We really need
Mm,
transformation. We have
mm,
abundance. Information is a commodity in
mhm.
milliseconds now with, artificial intelligence. So we need a personalized approach to share our expertise. And I'm hoping this will be exactly that for those who need it. Now, remember, we don't write books for everybody. So this is exactly for those who need it.
And see, we have somebody else, Juana is saying, I love the idea of a mini book because it feels
Yes.
attainable. It's attainable. Yeah, because there's the payoff for both the reader and the author. It's like
Yes.
you don't need to go spend 10 years writing a book. You can maybe do it in a couple of months or a
And
year
then get
or
to your
however.
next one,
Yeah.
because you have another one, I understand, coming out in early next year. Is that
Yeah,
right,
it's
Gillian?
it's
Yeah,
already out. Yeah, well, it's not already out. It's all
it's in the works.
I brain
Yes.
dumped this morning. So it's
Oh,
like just to make sure that I have all the little pieces. So it's just like I woke up and it was like I ran to grab my paper and I made sure I brainstormed it on a mind map because I want to make sure that I'm covering every single thing and I
yes.
got it all
It
outlined.
keeps
So
your mind fresh and
it
your ideas
does.
popping when you're continuously in the book writing process. I also another thing that took me a long time, I'm writing this as a workshop as well. So I'm, like, doing a
Mm.
multiple things, and so I plan to yeah, it's the ecosystem. It's gonna be a workshop, like a
Oh
2
yeah.
to 3 it could be customizable, but simple and just to help them put that one-page roadmap together in real time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Michelle, I can envision like the conference room with your book on everyone's seat. Like
Yes.
that's what I
And the
envision.
planner, they get the
Yes.
planner too, so it's
Yes.
gonna be a perfect part of it. I built the planner to go with the workshop as well.
I love it. I love it. That sounds great. So I just want to ask you, I said I want to remember to ask you something. So what would your advice be to someone else who has like, okay, I want to write a book, but now I'm nervous about putting a deadline and, because it is good to do that. It is good to say, hey, I'm going to write a book and I'm targeting to, I'd like it published like, June 2025 or whatever, maybe you're watching today or you're listening today and you say, I want to do this. We don't want someday. It is good to have a day. I know the
Yes.
day that I'm going to do my next book in February. It's like it's already on, it's in the diary, as the Brits like to say, it's in the diary. So what would you say to that to people? Because what if they miss the date? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely. It's a great question. I would say be 100% honest, transparent. People, it's part of the personal branding. People just wonder, we're real and relatable, right? I had to give myself a runway, and I thought back in February, 9 months or so will be good. And to be honest, I really wanted to share more of the book journey process. I envisioned it because I didn't know that I would be revamping everything. But most people aren't going to be taking a 7 steps and bringing it 4. I kind of a little bit of unique, but what you can do is just give yourself runway, give yourself another runway, even a year. Okay. If you're creating something for nothing, but even if it's a smaller book like G, who had a speech already done, give yourself enough runway that you feel comfortable with. Announce it. People are so happy for you. They want to cheer you on. They find inspiration. You're inspiring others to do the same, kind of paying it forward, putting a hand back. So, and it's okay. Like I was such a nervous wreck and kind of embarrassed because I don't like to let things down to say, oh, it's not coming out. But you know what? People are like, oh, that's fine. No one cares. No one cares, in the most respectful way. But it kept me going. And people are honestly cheering you on and you're inspiring others to do it the same. So I think definitely, and at the very least, say you announce it early next year, to say, in October or fall. Just give some vision out there, not someday. Please don't say
Right.
someday.
Yeah, because someday never comes. It just
No, it's not
really,
a day.
absolutely, it doesn't come. So yes, you have to
And
challenge
share the
yourself.
journey. Yeah, share the
Yes.
journey.
Yes,
sure.
you don't have to be hiding your book in the
Yeah.
closet, "Oh, I've been there." But,
Well, you've been there. Can I flip it on you real quick? Because this is my thing.
yes,
And what have you learned? Because I know when you have a book, not to be me, I'm just curious. So when you
right.
first put your book out in September, I'm like, you wrote a book, you didn't tell us. And so
I
I
didn't
would
tell
love
anybody.
tell us the flip side so people can know both kind of schools of thought.
Well, I guess I wanted to give myself room that if I hated it, I'd pull it off. So it
Yeah.
was like, and I was learning, I was pushing like I took 21 years to write
Yes.
this book. And so everybody always says, "Well, you write your book so fast." Well, the first one was not fast because it took me 21 years. But also too, I had instructed Devin to learn publishing. So it was
Yeah.
like, what if the publishing looked awful? So there was so many different things. So I kind of like thought, well, I'll get it up there and then I'll think about it. But I'm an introvert too. So introverts, sometimes we struggle with kind of putting it out there. Whereas an extrovert will say, "What do you think? I'm choosing this cover or that cover." They're always talking about it. But here's the thing that I've learned is that if you don't talk about your book, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, if you don't talk about your
Yeah.
book in the beginning, the middle, and the end, and after, then you are not getting your book to the people that need it. So
Absolutely.
you have to get over that selling from the heels because you're never selling your book because we can't force people to buy the book.
Mm-mm.
But the
No.
thing is, we have to get it out there that people can see it and say, "I need that book." But if you don't see it, they'll never buy it. So that's what
That's
I learned.
beautiful. Same with putting yourself out there. Exactly. So somewhere between our stories is the perfect thing. There's people who, share more covers and all that. I didn't do that. Down the road, I will. Yes, I will. So that's my story. That's my journey. And I hope I've inspired someone to, put themselves out there, whatever way, if it's getting on social media or going to a networking event or even writing a book down the road, you have a message, expertise, and something that will impact others, even if it's just one person, which I promise you it will be way more than that. And that also lights you up, changes their lives, and just creates such impact that we need more of in this world.
I love it. I love it. And then we're given a ballpark figure of mid-December for the
Yes,
premiere.
mid-December for Position Yourself. I'm proud to say it is at the publisher. So like it is like not sitting in a manuscript on my hard drive. It is truly in motion. And Own Your Lane is basically written, but I'm putting the icing on the cake, and that is projected, I'm going to say mid-February. So it'll be at about 2 months apart, still early in the year to get yourself out there and get going. So I'm
I love
excited. And
it.
then it just continues. Everything after this is going to be so much easier to write because it's, an ecosystem now and I've created it. So I'm
But
excited. So if you want to learn more, go to ownyourlane.io. I bought a website for the whole series, ownyourlane.io. You can see the lane framework, the visual on it, and just get, more acquainted about it. And I'll be adding more to that site as well very much soon, like this later this week, in fact.
awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
this has just been absolutely a brilliant conversation. I know we have inspired everybody watching, everybody listening on the podcast later. So just thank you very much for being
Thank
here
you,
today
Gillian.
and sharing your story. Okay. We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Take care.